A good movie title should be memorable, but they don't always have to make sense. On occasion, filmmakers end up with titles that are wildly and sometimes hilariously inaccurate. Here are some movie titles that lied straight to your face. The Lone Ranger. In no iteration of The Lone Ranger is the heroic cowboy actually lonesome. His sidekick Tonto is always by his side. As a character, Tonto is almost as famous as the Lone Ranger. In fact, in the 2013 movie adaptation, the guy who played Tonto, Johnny Depp, even earned top billing over the guy playing the Lone Ranger, Armie Hammer. Fargo. The only scene in this Coen Brothers classic that's actually set in Fargo, North Dakota, is the one where Jerry meets the two hitmen to set up the kidnapping of his wife. The rest of the movie takes place in Minnesota, specifically in Brainerd.
Brainerd?
Yeah. Home of Paul Bunyan, Babe the Blue Ox.
Sure, you could argue that calling the movie Brainerd wouldn't be as exciting, and the meeting in Fargo spirals out into all kinds of craziness. But it's still the equivalent of Gotham taking place in Metropolis. You'd think that 2 seasons of the awesome Fargo TV series would correct the location a bit, right? Wrong.
Double whoops.
Most of the series takes place in other towns throughout Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota, with Fargo visited only a few times throughout the show.
You do know you're in North Dakota, right?
Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Yes, the 4th movie in the Friday the 13th franchise is indeed the final installment in the saga of drowning victim turned hockey mask wearing mask murderer Jason Voorhees.
Now, Jason's reign of terror is over.
We all thought Friday the 13th Part 4 was going to be the final chapter when it came to Jason, but little did horror fans know that there'd still be a Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Jason X, the one where he goes to outer space. The 2003 crossover Freddy vs. Jason, and the 2009 Friday the 13th reboot. Batman Forever. Not quite forever. The 3rd big screen Batman movie obviously couldn't have an infinite running time, though this movie certainly seems like it never ends.
Exactly.
But it did well enough at the box office to generate a sequel, Batman and Robin. That one was so poorly received that it prevented the Batman franchise from going on forever.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Another Batman movie wouldn't be made until almost a decade later, with Christopher Nolan's franchise reboot, Batman Begins. The Karate Kid. Everything about the 1984 original The Karate Kid is unassailable, including its title, although the 23-year-old Ralph Macchio stretched the definition of kid. But in the 2010 remake starring Jaden Smith, it isn't about karate at all. In this version, Jackie Chan teaches his young charge kung fu, not karate. Considering kung fu comes from China and karate comes from Japan, having a movie where Chinese action star Jackie Chan teaches kung fu to a boy living in China and calling it The Karate Kid is a downright lie. Mission Impossible. All of Tom Cruise's top secret spy missions as Ethan Hunt turn out to be pretty possible after all, even if they are pretty difficult. Viewers can tell Hunt's missions aren't impossible thanks to the existence of multiple sequels. If any of them really were impossible, he and his whole team would be dead.
Whew. That was not easy, but I did it.
Jurassic Park. Yeah, it takes place at Jurassic Park.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
But it should really be named Cretaceous Park, because nearly all of the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park actually date to the Cretaceous period.
Alan, this species of Variformin's been extinct since the Cretaceous period.
The Jurassic era came before the Cretaceous by about 80 million years. Now, if they could only explain that to the dinosaurs. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more videos like the one you just saw, and leave us a comment to let us know which inaccurate movie titles we missed.